Hey there, Postal here. Well, look at this. Today we're taking out a JL-1A-37. I've played about a half a dozen battles in this particular plane. And yeah, this is like the one Chinese plane that I would have had fun in, right? Let me go ahead and let's do this. What do we need to do here? We need to try to go for that. Let's see what we can do. We've got Maxwell on the enemy team, who is a definitely a good player. And we got two specialized JLs already. It's kind of to be expected. So we almost certainly will not have the best game in this plane. But I can definitely pass along some information as far as what I know about it, what I've found in my half dozen battles. This is basically a MiG-9 at Tier 8. You lose airspeed, you lose maneuverability. You've got the same guns though, they overheat very, very quickly. Watch this. And done. So I found it actually very, very helpful to have your 23mm cannons separate from your 37mm cannons, just because it allows you to use those 23mm cannons at the same time, you know, before you actually do anything with your 37s. Because the 37mm cannons, like the MiG-9, they are very, very short range. And so if you're stuck with frozen 37mm cannons because you fired them off too quickly, then, you know, it's gonna cause some mental issues. This plane really needs to be going after heavy fighters and bombers, but, you know, I don't have any heavy fighters or bombers over here to go after, so I guess I'm going after this guy. The maneuverability is just terrible on this plane. Absolutely terrible. I get outmaneuvered by basically everything, honestly. There's some heavy fighters that are outmaneuvered this plane. And so getting yourself into a dogfight is just a bad, bad deal. Speaking of which, I'm about to get into a dogfight with a specialized JL, so there's not a whole hell of a lot I can do against that. Other than hope that he's distracted. Kind of seems like he is. Maybe. Oh, he's got his tail and wing knocked out. Cool. That happens in this plane all the time, too. Your tail, wing, and engine will get knocked out all the goddamn time. Just all the freaking time. There's a lot more bad things about this plane than there are good things. To you know, utilize this 37mm cannon, you've actually got to give up quite a bit. And I'm not 100% sure it's actually worth it. You get excellent airspeed. You get excellent punch, right? I don't want to take anything away from that. But to get that great punch, to get that good airspeed, you lose a lot. And this is a very, very weak airframe. Meaning, really kind of think of it like a Japanese airframe where, you know, I don't catch on fire very often at all, to be honest. But I do get my wings and tail knocked out consistently. My engine gets knocked out pretty often. And so it's just, it's something you've got to be mindful of. This is definitely not a plane for everybody. And to be honest, if it wasn't the JL-1A-37, I wouldn't have gotten this plane. It's just, yeah. Not sure it's going to be the best money that I've spent in my life. But it does really, really well against heavy fighters. It does super well against heavy fighters because most heavy fighters can't, you know, outmaneuver it or outspeed it. And the cannon is really good at taking out those heavy fighters. It's actually really quite good at taking out chunks of bombers. You just have to keep in mind that those bombers have really good air defense, typically. B-32, RB-17, JU-288C, those are just, you know, the Tier 7 and Tier 8 planes that can cause this plane some issues. Not to mention things like the JU-287. Any of those planes that have really good rear gunners are really going to be felt by this plane just because the airframe is so incredibly weak. You can't take those hits. And they add up pretty quickly on this plane. You'll notice I tend to put my 23mm cannons on first. Again, just to let them do some of the light work. And then once I get close enough to use my 37mm cannon, I go ahead and do that. Zigzag, speaking of freaking B-32s that are going to make me regret my life choices. Let's go ahead and interact with said B-32. Using those 23mm cannons till I'm within 2,000 feet, and letting my 37mm cannon, whew, it overheated, but I was able to still take advantage of it. Alright, so you can see we're up at a pretty good altitude, right? This doesn't really have an issue with altitude. You know, going kind of slow for this tier, 300 miles an hour, but we're at 10,000 feet, so what do you want?
Be advised, a line of thunderstorms.
Keep on going for this B-32 just because why not? He's the thing in front of us. Somebody else is going to get the kill. It's moving away from us too fast for us to get the kill. Come on. Dang it. Isn't that always the way? I don't know what Zigzag was talking about there. Let's get this F2G, which can definitely outmaneuver us.
We cannot support you any longer. The storm is so heavy.
Get our 37mm cannon on target. He's close enough. Gotta tap, tap, tap. Don't crash, Postal, you dipshit. And P-51D. Oh man, there's all kinds of people over here. Let's actually get the hell away, can I? Is it too late? It's too late, isn't it? Might be too late. Yep. Got this Spitfire we're gonna have to deal with. Let's boost up. Keep on boosting up. We're gonna use that airspeed to get the hell away. Excellent. F7. It works. And there's game.
We'll be waiting for you back.
So I think this is actually a really good battle to show the weaknesses and the strengths of this particular plane. Let's head back. Alright, so this was not my best battle in the JL, but I think it's probably the most well-rounded as far as what this plane can do and what it can't do. And so that's why we're going to post this particular video. Let's see, Vorpal did really, really well. This was the first... I've flown with Vorpal quite a few times today. This might be the first time I've actually gotten more personal points than him. He's given a lot of good advice, actually. I reached out to him. He was in the first battle I was in, which I did like 14,000 personal points in that battle, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing, so I didn't think it was a very good good battle to explain, you know, the JL-1A-37 and what you should and shouldn't be doing in it. Zigzag was on my team last game, and, you know, we had really good synergy. It's a shame he's on the enemy team this time. And Maxwell, I just was able to get the jump on him the couple times I ran into him. He's a very good pilot as well. So, what is it about this plane? Well, it's a speed plane. If you're trying to dogfight in the JL-1A-37, you're doing it wrong. The plane is I say it's a MiG-9, but it's a slightly slower Definitely less maneuverable MiG-9. You've got less maneuverability than a lot of the planes at this tier. You've got less maneuverability than, I mean, like everything. If I show you like a P-51H, which is the least maneuverable plane at this tier, look at how much less maneuverable, and granted my P-51H is specialized, but still, even stock P-51H is still significantly more maneuverable than a JL-1A. It's sad. What, T-152 I guess is the least maneuverable, but this one doesn't have a pilot, this one doesn't have equipment, this doesn't have anything. That's my TA-152. And it still has slightly better maneuverability than the JL. So really, don't think of this as a light fighter. If you think of this as a light fighter, you're going to fail. As far as your engagement is concerned, it is definitely a light fighter when it comes to the ability to take hits. It's definitely a light fighter when it comes to the airframe losing hit points and breaking things. I get my tail and my wings knocked out, my engine knocked out all the time in this plane. Part of it is because of the equipment, but part of it is just that's the way it's built. If you look at the survivability, you only have 360 hit points. The resistance to damage is 45. The resistance to fire is 27. Now keep in mind, I haven't caught on fire on this plane very often at all. Honestly, maybe once in the half dozen battles I've played. But there's the potential to be catching on fire all the time. What I notice is my wings and tail, and they definitely get knocked out all the time. My engine gets knocked out from time to time. And so when your wings and tail get knocked out all the time, you're not maneuverable anyway. And so yeah, you're gonna struggle with that. And so you don't see the JL-1A-37 out there very often. What I equate this plane to, it's kind of like the, Type 59, I think is what it was called, in World of Tanks. Remember the Type 59 when World of Tanks first came out? It was like overpowered. Everybody loved it. Chinese tank that you couldn't, there's no Chinese tech tree. Wargaming pulled it, and you could only get it like very, very infrequently. And, then it kind of got, it got not nerfed, but like power creep got to it, and now the Type 59 is basically nothing. The JL-1A, I kind of equate to that. Super strong back in the day. Now it's still strong, but it's not a world beater by any means. You want to make sure that you're focusing on taking down heavy planes. You want to make sure that you're taking down and doing large chunks of damage and flying right past. Multi-rolls, a lot of the multi-rolls at Tier 8 you're going to struggle against just because they're so much more maneuverable. If it's a human and they're paying any kind of attention, you can struggle just because as soon as they start maneuvering, you're going to be in trouble. Light fighters, I just showed you. There's only one light fighter in the game that's less maneuverable than you at Tier 8, and maybe the Horton 229. Let me check that. Yeah, okay, so the Horton 229. But not everybody's got a Horton. Not everybody flies the TA-152. What you're mainly going to see out there is everything that's more maneuverable than you. And a Horton has better airspeed and altitude performance. So if you're getting this plane, you just need to know what you're getting yourself into. It can be very, very frustrating because the cannons, especially out of the box, the cannons are fickle. The first thing that people have told me about this plane is, oh, you need to get things to help the guns. Well, the equipment slots are not available for forward-firing weapons until you get specialists. So you can't get, you can't get things like gas-operated action or reinforced bolt carriers, which reinforced bolt carriers is what I've been told is the best thing to get on this. I'll find out once I specialize it. So you're stuck with the crap guns, and they're not crap. They're really hard hitting. What I just mean by crap guns is you saw how quickly they overheat. You saw how I've got to have a strategy of how to use the guns so that I can actually make them effective when you get this plane, out of the box. I fire my 23mm cannons when it's something that's more than 2,000 feet away. So basically more than 600 meters away. And then I fire all of my weapons once they're within that range, because my 37mm cannon is just really, it's more miss than hit when it's farther away than that. And you don't want to overheat your 37mm cannon firing at nothing. You want to fire that cannon while it actually has the chance to hit something. And so, yeah, until I can, upgrade the guns in any kind of way, shape, or form, I've got to have that kind of tact with it. I don't know if my consumables is the best setup here. I do know I trust my equipment setup. You want to have this built for more airspeed. Anything that's helping maneuverability is just kind of like supplemental. As of right now, I don't have injection boost on here. I might actually switch it to that. All that typically does is help boost efficiency. I mean, yeah, it's going to help maximum speed as well once you get it upgraded. So I think I actually should go to that instead of lightweight wing frame. And I probably will going forward, now that I'm talking about it out loud. The help to the maneuverability is, it doesn't help me in the battle, as you guys saw. Like, I wasn't really sticking with anything. So I guess helping my airspeed even more would be the thing to go with. I suspect once I get specialization, I'll probably be putting engine restart on here. I could maybe go for improved mixture control, but the engine just gets knocked out so often, I'm not sure that's... Going all or nothing, I think I'm going to get a lot more nothing than all out of it. We'll see. I'm tempted to put engine bleed inertia system on here just to reduce the fire chance, but again, I don't really seem to catch on fire even though the stats say that I should. Maybe it's just because I'm not getting caught by planes like the P-51H very often, things that would set me on fire. So the pneumatic control assist has come in handy from time to time. I have not put, and I will never put, fire extinguisher on a plane, even when that does catch on fire all the time. I'm always going to use first aid package. And the reason being is because the next point I get, I'm going to put on as firefighter just to help in those kind of situations. But as far as the pilot is concerned, you get an 8-point pilot with the premium package. I've set mine up what I think is pretty well balanced. I did want to put a little bit of maneuverability on here. But you definitely need Marksman 1 and Engine Guru 1. Now, whether or not you go with Marksman 2 immediately is up to you. I decided to go with Aerodynamics Expert, which is going to help, all the equipment here. It's going to make it even stronger, 40% stronger for each one. So that would be my recommendation, is at least Engine Guru 1, Marksman 1, and Aerodynamics Expert. What you do with your last 2 points is really up to you. If you want to save it to get a 3rd point and get Marksman 2, so be it. If you want to use 1 point for Firefighter and then have 1 point just sitting, or use for one of these 2 items here, so be it. I used mine for Aerodynamics Expert. I haven't regretted that, although I'm not really sure my maneuverability is being helped in any way, shape, or form. I could definitely see going with Firefighter. I haven't found a need for it, but I definitely will be putting it on at some point, just because if I don't know if I've just been lucky in my first 6 battles and I haven't caught on fire very much. I would think that I'd be catching on fire a lot more. So we'll see how it goes. I might adjust, post a video again in another month or 2 with updated pilot points and updated equipment. I'm definitely going to recommend don't do lightweight power unit. I'm actually going to change mine out right now. And silly postal. I was trying to get like some sort of semblance of maneuverability, but it's just not, even with that, I'm not maneuverable enough. And if you're not maneuverable enough with maneuverability equipment attached, then what the hell's the point? It's kind of like getting a Yak-1 and putting a bunch of speed equipment on there and you're still not fast enough, then what the hell's the point? And so that's my perspective on this. So let's see here. Acceleration with boost, maximum speed with boost, yada yada yada. I'm hoping that I roll something that'll help my overall. It's just helping with the boost. That's as high as I can go. Let's see what reassemble would do. What's my option here? Engine cooldown rate? It doesn't really. That actually would be the better of the 2. Acceleration 1% isn't going to make or break my light fighter. Like if this was a heavy fighter where you get a boost for a long time, then okay. But the engine cooldown rate might help quite a bit because that'll allow me to get my boost back quicker. So I mean, you know what? I'm just going to change it now. I've got 400,000. Let's change it. Done. Let's check this. Let's see what I even have here. Acceleration without boost. What's my other option? Maximum speed with boost. No, I don't want that. And then we'll reassemble this possibly. Yaw maneuverability. Don't really care. Acceleration while diving. Sure. All right. Yay. So, set it up for speed. I suspect I'll enjoy this plane more just based on speed. I mean, look, the maneuverability went down a little bit. But again, even with my maneuverability where it just wasn't impactful enough. So, this plane, more than any other plane I've ever freaking flown, any other plane I've posted a video on, is not going to be for everybody. The guns feel like they overheat so quickly that it's just like, it's kind of maddening. Like, at least on the Horton 229, you've got really long range on those 30mm cannons, and so you've got something to play with. These are very short range. They don't necessarily overheat quite as quickly, but they're such short range on the 37mm cannon that it's just like, So, I'm going to put a huge disclaimer on this. If you've made it this far in the freaking video, I would say just straight up don't get the plane. But that's not true. If you're going to get the plane, you just got to be super mindful of what you're getting yourself into. Keep in mind, and I need to keep in mind, my plane's not specialized. I know it's going to get better as I fly it more, as I get used to it more, and as I specialize it. You just need to know what you're getting yourself into. And again, the JL-1A-37. Let's look at the tech tree, boys and girls. There's no tech tree. So this plane is building a pilot for nothing, other than making a lot of silver. Right? This plane does make a ton of silver because it does do a lot of damage. You're going to make a lot of credits with this plane. All my games, and granted I've got premium time built up, but all my games have been well over 200,000 credits. So I'll continue to be able to do that. But yeah, so definitely be mindful of what you're getting yourself into before you purchase this plane. I hope this was helpful. I do enjoy flying it. I want to say that, but it's something you got to wrap your brain around before you just kind of get it and hop and go. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. There's a lot of people out there that have had the JL-1A-37 for a while. What do you guys think of the plane? What are your recommendations for the build and for the play style? Please put the comments down below. Help people that haven't bought it yet, or help correct me and my incorrect ways. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.